I think the biggest mistake I see with guys that are in the gym looking to build muscle is they think that just going and lifting weights is going to get them the results they want. And I always coach on the 3 P's of effective training. The first P is following a program. If you're just walking into the gym and doing whatever you feel like, or even having a rough guideline of like, oh, today's legs, today's back, today's arms, but you're not tracking your weights, you're not doing the same exercises every week, you're not driving enough effort to create adaptation, you might get some results, but you're not going to get incredible results. So that's the first P, program. The second P is, you have a question?
Yeah, can we pause here?
Yeah.
So, I imagine this depends. Like, if I were to do that, I have a pretty good understanding of what I'm doing, right? So I intuitively train. I have been in the past, like, intuitively training. So I kind of go based on feel, like what I want to do in the gym that day. And I've been able to maintain my current physique, not following a program.
Right, so this is a great distinction. You're maintaining what you currently have. Correct.
Right, okay.
You're not building in additional strength, additional muscle. And most people who come into the gym and do what you do are not looking to maintain what they have. They're looking to get to the next level because they're not happy with where they're at.
Right.
You are in a different position because you're very happy with what you have and you're like, hey, look, if I can put 2 hours a week into maintaining what I have while directing all this other energy into my business and, you know, XYZ, great, that's what you're gonna do. But that's not the same situation that most novice trainees are in.
Right. Second point, you take someone who's never worked out before and they just start going to the gym and doing whatever. They're going to see results.
Probably, yeah, for some time, yeah. In the same way that if someone's super fat and they've never gone for a walk before, just going for a 5-minute walk a day will probably start to move them in the right direction.
Right.
Because the farther you have to go, the anything will help, right? But that plateau will come very quickly if you're not following a program, if you don't have a game plan on here's where you are, here's where you want to be 6 months from now, and here's the map of how to get from point A to point B.
Got it. Agreed. So in terms of muscle building, optimizing muscle building, which is what we're talking about, following a program.
Always.
Yes. Cool.
Always.
What's the second P?
The second piece is proximity to failure. Well, actually, no, let's hit progressive overload first. So progressive overload is the principle that effectively is about you needing to constantly go a little bit beyond what you're currently capable of so that your body has a reason to adapt. If you're always going into the gym and you're lifting the same weights, you're doing the same amount of reps, you're just going in there and doing what you've always done, your body has no reason to change because it's no novel stimulus. It's nothing beyond what it's done in the past, right? So progressive overload is this idea of going 1% farther every workout through increasing the weight, adding more reps, or increasing the intensity, or more sets, right? Like we have all these levers in a program that we can pull, more weight, more reps, more sets, and progressive overload is the principle of ensuring that we're actually continually making things a little bit harder so that your body has a reason to grow and adapt.
Got it. Cool. So again, in terms of optimizing muscle building, which is what we're talking about in this episode, progressive overload is the path to do that. Before we get into the last P, let's differentiate other reasons why people would be going to the gym, because like muscle building versus fat loss versus overall like just general fitness, these can all be looked at differently. Yes.
Yeah, and for most things where it's skill development or even cardiovascular based or anaerobic training, the principle of progressive overload is the same. That's how we grow as humans. We do things that are slightly uncomfortable for us or a bit beyond our capacity. You can even bring that same lens to learning how to play the guitar. If you're constantly just doing the basic shit that you learned on day one, your brain has it's not being pushed to grow and learn and acquire new skills and adapt. When it comes to fat loss, sure, you can make the argument that progressive overload is in that training, because if I have you in a caloric deficit and you just do this for 12 hours a day, you're gonna lose fat. There's no magic to fat loss. But the reason
You should create that program.
Yeah. Join my mastermind. But the reason why, if your goal is fat loss, we should also be focusing on muscle building is because the more muscle you have, the higher your metabolism will be and the more calories you'll be burning all the time.
So let's bust this myth before we continue on to the third P, because this is a big one that I see a lot of people going after. Is maybe they're just starting to go to the gym, they're 30 plus pounds overweight, and they think they need to do excessive cardio and just run or go on the Stairmaster or whatever for hours at a time to lose the fat. And so talk to us about the importance of, if your goal is fat loss, to focus on building of the muscle.
Exactly. So there's a few lenses we can look at it through. One is the lens of caloric expenditure, right? So it is correct that you can burn calories doing anything. You can burn calories running, swimming, going for a hike, lifting weights. But the reason why I am a huge proponent of making resistance training your primary vehicle for body composition changes is because building more muscle will increase your metabolic rate, your basal metabolic rate, the amount of calories that you're burning just to stay alive. So if we can get that number higher through resistance training, not only are you going to be burning more calories while you're sleeping, while you're at your desk, while you're recording a podcast, because you can think of your muscle cells as these little furnaces that are requiring more energy to maintain. Also, you're going to have the physique that you want by the time you lose the weight. Like what people need to understand is that if you are 30 pounds overweight, you don't want to be skinny fat.
Yeah.
Like when you don't want to lose fat, you don't want to lose 30 pounds, but still have a little belly and like a small torso by the time you're done. You want to have muscle. You want to have muscle definition. You want to have a physique you're proud of. So that's why building muscle and resistance training is going to be the best way to do that, because you're giving your body the stimulus it needs to build more muscle.
And that also goes into testosterone optimization too, because if you're 30 pounds overweight, there's no way that you have optimal testosterone levels. So if you're
and to couple on top of that, we know that excessive cardiovascular training can just deplete your hormone levels even further. And
yes.
Resistance training is going to be a far better tool for improving your hormone levels, specifically looking at things like testosterone and HGH.
Cool. So myth busted. Cool. All right, so let's get to the third P of, is there a name for it? Like the 3 Ps of...
PPP. The PPP method.
The PPP method.
I just call it
enlarge your PP.
Yeah. Grow your PPP. No, I right now I'm calling it the 3 Ps of effective training, but maybe we'll be calling it the triple P protocol by the time we're done.
I like that.
All right.
Triple P protocol.
All right. So we've talked about program, progressive overload, and the third is proximity to failure. Okay, so proximity to failure is how close to failure are you going on your lifts? One of the massive problems I see in gyms, and what's interesting is I go to a gym where it's a huge bodybuilding focus. So the sample size of the gym that I go to is unique because most people there know their shit. Even then, there's a lot of people that aren't driving enough effort. And I use the gun to your head method. So the question you should be asking yourself when you finish a set is, if I had a gun to my head, if Sam was in here with me in the gym and he had a gun to my head and your life depended on it, how many more reps could you have done? And for most people, if they're being honest, from what I see, most people are stopping a set when they have like 7 or 6 or 5 reps left in the tank. They're going, it starts to feel a little bit hard, and then they're done, right? And in order to effectively build muscle, you need to be going to at least within 3 reps of failure. So when you finish a set, and you ask yourself, how many more reps could I have done if my life depended on it? If you ever answer more than 3, you're not working hard enough. Now, some people will say like going up to a place where you have 5 reps left in the tank and stopping is okay, but really that should only be used on like a deload session or an intro session where you're ramping yourself up to a higher intensity. At the end of the day, if you're stopping with anything more than 2 to 3 reps left in the tank, you're not working hard enough and you're not giving your body the stimulus it needs to actually build muscle.